Welcome to our channel. Before we dive into today's video, we kindly ask you to show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our content. The Two Towers, Gandalf's Return. With that, the three hunters plunged into the forest of Fangorn. Legolas and Gimli left the tracking to Aragorn. There was little for him to see. The floor of the forest was dry and covered with a drift of leaves, but guessing that the fugitives would stay near the water, he returned often to the banks of the stream. So it was that he came upon the place where Merry and Pippin had drunk and bathed their feet. There, plain for all to see, were the footprints of two hobbits, one somewhat smaller than the other. "This is good tidings," said Aragorn. "Yet the marks are 2 days old. And it seems that at this point the hobbits left the waterside." "Then what shall we do now?" said Gimli. "We cannot pursue them through the whole fastness of Fangorn. We have come ill-supplied. If we do not find them soon, we shall be of no use to them, except to sit down beside them and show our friendship by starving together." "If that is indeed all we can do, then we must do that," said Aragorn. "Let us go on." They came at length to the steep abrupt end of Treebeard's Hill, and looked up at the rock wall with its rough steps leading to the high shelf. Gleams of sun were striking through the hurrying clouds, and the forest now looked less grey and drear. "Let us go up and look about us," said Legolas. "I still feel my breath short. I should like to taste a freer air for a while." The companions climbed up. Aragorn came last, moving slowly. He was scanning the steps and ledges closely. "I am almost sure that the hobbits have been up here," he said. "But there are other marks, very strange marks, which I do not understand. I wonder if we can see anything from this ledge which will help us to guess which way they went next." He stood up and looked about, but he saw nothing that was of any use. The shelf faced southward and eastward, but only on the east was the view open. There he could see the heads of the trees descending in ranks towards the plain from which they had come. "We have journeyed a long way round," said Legolas. "We could have all come here safe together, if we had left the great river on the second or third day and struck west. Few can foresee whither their road will lead them, till they come to its end." "But we did not wish to come to Fangorn," said Gimli. "Yet here we are, and nicely caught in the net," said Legolas. "Look." "Look at what?" said Gimli. "There in the trees." "Where? I have not elf eyes." "Hush! Speak more softly." "Look," said Legolas, pointing. "Down in the wood, back in the way that we have just come. It is he. Cannot you see him, passing from tree to tree?" I see now," hissed Gimli. "Look, Aragorn. Did I not warn you? There is the old man. All in dirty grey rags, that is why I could not see him at first." Aragorn looked and beheld a bent figure moving slowly. It was not far away. It looked like an old beggarman, walking wearily, leaning on a rough staff. His head was bowed, and he did not look towards them. In other lands they would have greeted him with kind words, but now they stood silent, each feeling a strange expectancy. Something was approaching that held a hidden power, or menace. Gimli gazed with wide eyes for a while, as step by step the figure drew nearer. Then suddenly, unable to contain himself longer, he burst out, "Your bow, Legolas! Bend it! Get ready! It is Saruman! Do not let him speak, or put a spell upon us. Shoot first!" Legolas took his bow and bent it, slowly and as if some other will resisted him. He held an arrow loosely in his hand but did not fit it to the string. Aragorn stood silent, his face was watchful and intent. "Why are you waiting? What is the matter with you?" said Gimli in a hissing whisper. "Legolas is right," said Aragorn quietly. "We may not shoot an old man so, at unawares and unchallenged, whatever fear or doubt be on us. Watch and wait." At that moment the old man quickened his pace and came with surprising speed to the foot of the rock wall. Then suddenly he looked up, while they stood motionless looking down. There was no sound. They could not see his face. He was hooded, and above the hood he wore a wide-brimmed hat, so that all his features were overshadowed, except for the end of his nose and his grey beard. Yet it seemed to Aragorn that he caught the gleam of eyes keen and bright from within the shadow of the hooded brows. At last the old man broke the silence. "Well met indeed, my friends," he said in a soft voice. "I wish to speak to you. Will you come down, or shall I come up?" Without waiting for an answer he began to climb. "Now!" cried Gimli. "Stop him, Legolas. Did I not say that I wished to speak to you?" said the old man. "Put away that bow, Master Elf." The bow and arrow fell from Legolas' hands, and his arms hung loose at his sides. "And you, Master Dwarf, pray take your hand from your axe haft, till I am up. You will not need such arguments." Gimli started and then stood still as stone, staring, while the old man sprang up the rough steps as nimbly as a goat. All weariness seemed to have left him. As he stepped up onto the shelf there was a gleam, too brief for certainty, a quick glint of white, as if some garment shrouded by the grey rags had been for an instant revealed. The intake of Gimli's breath could be heard as a loud hiss in the silence. "Well met, I say again," said the old man, coming towards them. When he was a few feet away, he stood, stooping over his staff, with his head thrust forward, peering at them from under his hood. "And what may you be doing in these parts?" An elf, a man, and a dwarf, all clad in elvish fashion. No doubt there is a tale worth hearing behind it all. Such things are not often seen here. "You speak as one that knows Fangorn well," said Aragorn. "Is that so?" "Not well," said the old man, "that would be the study of many lives. But I come here now and again. Might we know your name, and then hear what it is that you have to say to us?" said Aragorn. "The morning passes, and we have an errand that will not wait. As for what I wished to say, I have said it. What may you be doing, and what tale can you tell of yourselves? As for my name—" He broke off, laughing long and softly. Aragorn felt a shudder run through him at the sound, a strange cold thrill, and yet it was not fear or terror that he felt, rather it was like the sudden bite of a keen air, or the slap of a cold rain that wakes an uneasy sleeper. "My name," said the old man again. "Have you not guessed it already? You have heard it before, I think." "Yes, you have heard it before. But come now, what of your tale?" The three companions stood silent and made no answer. "There are some who would begin to doubt whether your errand is fit to tell," said the old man. "Happily I know something of it. You are tracking the footsteps of two young hobbits, I believe." "Yes, hobbits." "Don't stare, as if you had never heard the strange name before. You have, and so have I. Well, they climbed up here the day before yesterday, and they met someone that they did not expect. Does that comfort you? And now you would like to know where they were taken? Well, maybe I can give you some news about that. But why are we standing? Your errand, you see, is no longer as urgent as you thought. Let us sit down and be more at ease." The old man turned away and went towards a heap of fallen stones and rock at the foot of the cliff behind. Immediately, as if a spell had been removed, the others relaxed and stirred. Gimli's hand went at once to his axe haft. Aragorn drew his sword. Legolas picked up his bow. The old man took no notice, but stooped and sat himself on a low flat stone. Then his grey cloak drew apart, and they saw, beyond doubt, that he was clothed beneath all in white. "Saruman!" cried Gimli, springing towards him with axe in hand. "Speak! Tell us where you have hidden our friends. What have you done with them? Speak, or I will make a dint in your hat that even a wizard will find it hard to deal with." The old man was too quick for him. He sprang to his feet and leaped to the top of a large rock. There he stood, grown suddenly tall, towering above them. His hood and his grey rags were flung away. His white garments shone. He lifted up his staff, and Gimli's axe leaped from his grasp and fell ringing on the ground. The sword of Aragorn, stiff in his motionless hand, blazed with a sudden fire. Legolas gave a great shout and shot an arrow high into the air. It vanished in a flash of flame. "Mithrandir!" he cried. "Mithrandir! Well met, I say to you again, Legolas," said the old man. They all gazed at him. His hair was white as snow in the sunshine, and gleaming white was his robe. The eyes under his deep brows were bright, piercing as the rays of the sun. Power was in his hand. Between wonder, joy, and fear they stood and found no words to say. At last Aragorn stirred. "Gandalf," he said. "Beyond all hope you returned to us in our need. What veil was over my sight?" "Gandalf." Gimli said nothing, but sank to his knees, shading his eyes. "Gandalf," the old man repeated, as if recalling from old memory a long disused word. "Yes, that was the name. I was Gandalf." He stepped down from the rock, and picking up his grey cloak wrapped it about him. It seemed as if the sun had been shining, but now was hid in cloud again. "Yes, you may still call me Gandalf," he said, and the voice was the voice of their old friend and guide. "Get up, my good Gimli. No blame to you, and no harm done to me. Indeed, my friends, none of you have any weapon that could hurt me. Be merry. We meet again. At the turn of the tide. The great storm is coming, but the tide has turned." He laid his hand on Gimli's head, and the dwarf looked up and laughed suddenly. "Gandalf," he said. "But you are all in white." "Yes, I am white now," said Gandalf. "Indeed I am Saruman, one might almost say, Saruman as he should have been. But come now, tell me of yourselves. I have passed through fire and deep water, since we parted. I have forgotten much that I thought I knew, and learned again much that I had forgotten. I can see many things far off, but many things that are close at hand I cannot see. Tell me of yourselves." "What do you wish to know?" said Aragorn. "All that has happened since we parted on the bridge would be a long tale. Will you not first give us news of the hobbits? Did you find them, and are they safe?" "No, I did not find them," said Gandalf. "There was a darkness over the valleys of the Emyn, and I did not know of their captivity, until the eagle told me." "The eagle?" said Legolas. "I have seen an eagle high and far off, the last time was 4 days ago, above the Emyn." "Yes," said Gandalf, "that was Wahir the Windlord, who rescued me from Ortonk. I sent him before me to watch the river and gather tidings. His sight is keen, but he cannot see all that passes under hill and tree. Some things he has seen, and others I have seen myself. The ring now has passed beyond my help, or the help of any of the company that set out from Rivendell. Very nearly it was revealed to the enemy, but it escaped. I had some part in that, for I sat in a high place, and I strove with the dark tower, and the shadow passed. Then I was weary, very weary, and I walked long in dark thought." "Then you know about Frodo?" said Gimli. "How do things go with him?" "I cannot say. He was saved from a great peril, but many lie before him still. He resolved to go alone to Mordor, and he set out, that is all that I can say." "Not alone," said Legolas. "We think that Sam went with him." "Did he?" said Gandalf, and there was a gleam in his eye and a smile on his face. "Did he indeed? It is news to me, yet it does not surprise me." "Good. Very good. You lighten my heart. You must tell me more. Now sit by me and tell me the tale of your journey." The companions sat on the ground at his feet, and Aragorn took up the tale. For a long while Gandalf said nothing, and he asked no questions. His hands were spread upon his knees, and his eyes were closed. At last, when Aragorn spoke of the death of Boromir and of his last journey upon the great river, the old man sighed.